Illinois could soon become America's first junk state. That's what it says according to CNNmoney.com. And wow, what a fall from grace. Let that sink in for a little bit there. Now, they're not talking about it in a literal sense, although some might argue that might be the case with the state as well. But they're purely talking on a credit level. So it looks like Illinois' debt is not going to be repaid off. It's going to have to be restructured somehow, unless there's some huge political overhaul. But unless that happens, it looks like S&P Global Ratings is going to give it the distinction of being the first state to have a junk rating. Now, the reason for this is it has about $15 billion in unpaid bills and over $250 in unfunded liabilities. The state is in dire conditions. Now, what to make of it? Illinois is sort of one of those states where you kind of think of and you don't really think success. I mean, there are a lot of states that are in trouble. I don't really know if there is a state that stands out as a bright spot necessarily. I mean, there are states that are, doing okay, but there are a lot of states that are doing really bad. I mean, you think about California, you think about Ohio. I mean, there are a lot of states that are in really bad situations, but Illinois happens to stand out as the one that just can't seem to hide it anymore. Now, Illinois hasn't had a budget for the past 700 days. That's 700 days, or at least according to the last article, so I don't know how long it's been since, but it's been 700 days without a budget. And part of this is the lawmakers can't really agree on anything, and it has to do with the fact that some of them want to increase taxes and others want to cut spending, but I don't know how realistic that's going to be, because you're going to have to severely cut spending to really match to really compensate for any of the debts that are out there. So, I mean, how much spending cuts are going to need to be done, and are they really viable? So it looks like there is really no easy way out. And I'm not even sure as to how they're functioning right now exactly. I mean, are they just constantly borrowing money as we speak right now? Well, that's what it looks like, it seems. But it's so bad right now that, according to this article, even the lottery isn't guaranteed. So people who put money into the lottery, and let's say you actually won, you might not get that money you won in the lottery. So it is really serious. And the thing is, no credit rating company has ever downgraded a U.S. state to junk status. So right now, Illinois is in uncharted territories. Now, a lot of people are just wondering, how did it lead up to this? And I think it's a combination of different factors. Number one, Illinois just couldn't get his act together as a state. The state needs to attract people from different states, especially business people, and it just can't seem to do that. Part of it is because, well, I don't think any of its tax structures or regulations are, appealing to any businesses that are trying to come in. But I think the biggest issue with it is Illinois' biggest city, which is Chicago, has been having huge problems for some time now. A lot of that has to do with crime, but there is also a case of, just the services not being there. There are a lot of areas in the city that are just underserviced, and that does spill over to a lot of the other areas where people are trying to do business in. And as a result, the whole city just doesn't have the type of infrastructure it needs to thrive. And as a result, a lot of, business people and a lot of people in general have been just leaving the city because of unemployment, low quality of services. There's a lot of crime that's going on, so there's a huge safety issue. And it's been unfortunate, but a lot of people just don't know what to do about it. And Chicago is like the face of that state. If Chicago's not doing well, it's going to be hard for the state to do well. And right now, with the way things are going, I'm going to have to think that this is going to be the first state that needs federal intervention, because I don't see any way out of this that's really easy. Even the governor, when they tried to speak with him, avoided making a comment. He just doesn't want to speak with the media right now because he probably doesn't know what to do. Now, I don't know what the lawmakers are arguing over. I mean, do they really think that they can increase taxes to a point where it can fix the budget and, pay off all the debt that they got into? I mean, I don't know. I don't really think that that's realistic. But what else can they do really at this point on? I mean, like I said, the only thing that they can do is really just ask the federal government to give them a bailout. And then just say, hey, look, if you're not going to give us that bailout, we're going to need to do a massive restructuring of our debts because there's no way we could pay them off. And if they do, come to that conclusion and, say, okay, look, we're not going to cut anything and we're not going to raise taxes. We're just going to tell the federal government, you either bail us out or we're just going to default on our debts and just restructure them. And I think that's a bigger threat to the federal government than it is to the state, because that's going to create a domino effect. And if it creates a domino effect, a lot of other states might be in trouble. And I don't think the federal government wants to be in a position all of a sudden where it has to now bail out several states instead of just one. So I think what the federal government is going to do is it's just going to try to bail out. It's going to try to bail out Illinois, either directly or indirectly, but just do it in a manner that doesn't really encourage other states to ask for the same bailout, because this is going to lead to a lot of moral hazards, but I don't really know what else you can do about it. And I think with that, possibly maybe they can just kind of put the situation under control. But aside from that, I don't know what the lawmakers are arguing over. What exactly do they think they're going to do? I don't know. Look, industry has been dying in Chicago. There isn't really much business going on there anymore. And the money has just been sucked out because a lot of the business people have left. A lot of businesses have just left and have been outsourced. So what are you going to do? There's not much you can do. So I think it's going to eventually lead to a bailout. And if Illinois is not the first state to be bailed out, there will eventually be a state that gets bailed out. It's going to happen sooner or later. So let me know what you guys think. I mean, comment in the comment section below. What do you make of this? And what do you think is going to happen? Thanks for listening. And if you like, please like and also subscribe.